family. That's what this video is about, and it is specifically about the family head concept. Family head concept. All right, and this concept is coming from this book. See here, family head concept, and this is from a book written by this is the book. It's called Would You Like to Know the Truth About Black People's Identity? And it is an excerpt from this book. This book is called The Call to the Hebrews. All right, and it's by trying to get a good shot there, but it's by the guy's name is, I don't know if you can see it, Mawuli. Mawuli, that's his name. This book is an awesome book, and it's a recommended read. I mean, I've read a few other books, but this is just an amazing book as far as getting to solutions of our people, because we have a lot of problems but we need solutions. We need solutions. So this is just awesome. So we're gonna talk about the family head concept. All right, and I'm just gonna do some reading. This video, I'm gonna try to get through as efficient as possible. But it's probably, I don't know, we'll see. Before I get into the family, I have to, because of the language, I have to read a little bit of the beginning of the book. So I'm going to put it up here so you can kind of read with me. Hopefully you can see it okay. I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you read that? Okay, anyway, if you can't, it says, as a black person, undoubtedly you are aware that all is not well with the black race. You may also have wondered why wherever you find black people in this world, they never seem to do well as other races. White countries always seem to do well, as opposed to the suffering and degradation in black Africa and of the poverty of black people in America and the Caribbean. And that would include in Europe, all over the world, black people all over the world. All right. Now, we're not going to read the whole book, but it says, in the next few chapters, you are going to read information about your identity that will astonish you. You will have all the answers. And this is an awesome little book. This book right here, like I said, this came when you purchase this book. Okay, it comes with this book, but this book here, you can buy it by itself as a digital format for your Kindle. Okay, you have to buy this one hardback, but this one you can buy it digital, and I think it's like $9 or something like that. All right. But it's a good book. All right. Anyway, it says you will have all the answers. The truth is there are solutions to end black people suffering. And the good news is that they are not as difficult as you may think. Nevertheless, there is a hurdle to overcoming before getting to the solution. This difficulty is getting our people to know their true identity. Can't get around that. True identity. This is what the problem is, not the solution itself. When more black people know their true identity, then we will know what to do to solve the problem. It is as simple as that. Now, the problem, when he said the problem, we're talking about things like, problems. We're talking about things like high incarceration. I think I spelled that right. If I didn't, forgive me. But high incarceration, poverty, all of the problems that we associate with black people. Okay. Teen pregnancy, that's on all races. Fatherless children in the streets. Therefore, the streets are raising these children because there's no fathers. And there's many more. These are just a few of the problems. Okay, so we talk about problems. We're talking about real things that, quite honestly, God set up the family to be the solution. He already put that in place. Okay? He put that in place already. We just need to know how to use it. And this is something that we don't talk about very much. So, all right, here we go. So it says, it's as simple as that. Let me go back and read. When more black people know, get this up a little higher. Okay. When more black people know their true identity, then we will know what to do to solve the problem. It is as simple as that. Sorry if the camera was shaking. I was hitting the stand. This may come as a surprise, but what is holding back black people's development is similar to having a hereditary disease. You may know that to cure this type of sickness, knowing the patient's family history is crucial. Without such background knowledge, there can be no cure. Likewise, because what ails black people is hereditary. The cure lies in knowing our true identity, which is hidden and buried in our history. Thus, knowing who we are by knowing our history is of utmost importance to the solution. And we're here to discuss solutions. But it's all about the family. We have to maximize the family. Now we're going to get into some identity stuff. All right? Okay, here we go. The name. The name. Do you recognize this word ever? This is EVE. Ever. This name holds the key, the answer, and the solution to black people's problems worldwide. In the next few chapters, I will show you the significance of the name and the secrets surrounding it. Even though you may never have heard of this name, nevertheless, it is the true identity of millions of people in Africa and those sold into slavery from West Africa. Ever is pronounced ever or ever. Don't worry if you're struggling with the pronunciation. To help you get the proper pronunciation, he talks about that. I know how to pronounce it because I read the whole book, and he'll actually point you to a website to where you could actually hear the audio, and you know how to pronounce it. Now, let me just say this name ever all right. That name ever or ever. Yeah, ever is supposed to be an R. Ever. All right, that name, what that is Hebrew. See, Hebrew in Hebrew is not Hebrew, right? Hebrew is English. That's English. Ever is the Hebrew. Now it's in the Hebrew language, so it's Hebrew, and Hebrew is ever. Now I've got to do a little explaining right quick, and he explains all of that in this book. Explains it a whole lot better in this one, but nevertheless, and a lot of and a few other books also, but Strong's Concordance. Well, I'll write this over here. Strong's says Hebrew is IBRI. That's what Strong's will say that Hebrew is. It's Ibri. All right. I went and got this book. I opened the Call to the Hebrews, and what I want to show you is the Hebrew term. The Hebrew term Ibri that Strong's gives you. Okay. Not correct. All right. All right. Listen, he explains this on page 237. On page 237, he explains, if you can read this, I don't know if you can or not, because we're going to use your internet browser. He says, all right, the Israelites wrote their name in the Hebrew with the letters, and these are Hebrew characters. The letters IVRI represent those characters, that the Hebrew word, which is translated Hebrew in English. says the letters IVRI represent that Hebrew word in English. In the original tongue used to write the Bible, the word the letters represent is pronounced ever. Now, it says, however. I sure hope you can read this. I don't think you can, though. We'll see. But it says, however, if you were to type IVRI into a translator, it will come up with the name Hebrew instead of ever. So why is that? And he goes on into explaining all of that. I don't want to get in. Just buy the book to get all of that information, but we're going to get you to actually doing it to see how this works. All right, here it is. Okay, it says, type into Google, Abraham was Ivri or Ever. Okay, notice I have replaced Hebrew with Ever. So you just type into your internet browser. Type into your internet browser Abraham was IBRI. Type in, I'll just keep it simple. Type in Google. Handwriting is terrible. And you will come up with something like Abraham was a Jew or Abraham was Hebrew or something like that. So anyway, I'm just trying to get you to understand that this is actually Hebrew. All right. Now, let's get back to this book now. We still have a little bit to go. Let's see here. Okay, it says providing answers. I don't want to get into all of that. Just look at my other videos, and 'cause I don't have time to really explain everything. But the biblical, what he explains in this book is that the biblical Israelites are, well, let me put it like this. People of the diaspora, and that's who this video is really to. People of the diaspora, specifically to the diaspora, specifically to the people of the transatlantic slave trade. All right, they are the descendants of the biblical Israelites. The Israelites migrated to West Africa, all through the Bible. I just don't have time to talk about all that right now. This video is about family, but I need you to understand this so you can get all of the meat of what we're talking about today. I mean, but there's no question about the diaspora being Hebrews. All right. They were Hebrews, descendants. I mean, it's all through there. It's all through there. I have a Facebook history page called The World's Best Kept Secret. and all this info. Well, not this, because I'm just getting into the family part, because this is so important as far as solutions to our issues as black people. All right, but Facebook page is called The World's Best Kept Secret, and it's a history page. Okay, there's a lot of different people of different beliefs on there chiming in, but it is a history page about the truth that the descendants of the slaves taken from the west coast of Africa, or the diaspora. We know the diaspora means people scattered all over the world, removed from one common place. And they're called a diaspora. So the people of the diaspora from the west coast of Africa, they are the descendants of the biblical Israelites. That's a whole another conversation. But if you don't understand that, go ahead and stop this video now. Go do some research, because this is not going to make sense to you. But for those many preachers and pastors and people who do understand this, this is crucial. This is crucial. All right, now we're going to get into the meat of what we came to talk about. Family head concept. All right. All right, here we go. Let's see. Ever nation. Okay, now you understand the Ever nation. You know that Ever is Hebrew, so we're talking about the Hebrew nation. All right, it says, having read this far, you might be wondering, since the Ever people were scattered abroad, how do you get the people together again and return them to God and their former glory? Returning our people to God and to their former glory is like taking a picture puzzle. The first step is to know how the finished picture looks like. That way, I don't know if you can, I think it's blurry. We'll see after it's recorded. But anyway, that way we can set about knowing where to put the pieces to complete the puzzle. Knowing our true identity is the start, and the knowledge tells us what to aim for. After we start identifying the pieces and putting them together and arrive at our goal. It says, after that, we start identifying the pieces and putting them together and arrive at our goal. All right. One such major piece to solve the whole puzzle is the Ever family. The family is at the core of the Ever identity, and it is vital to our survival. Even though we are spread abroad in many countries, linking families together maintains the unity. Okay, so now we're going to get into. I wanted to bring this out because now we're going to get into the Israelites and how the family structure was in the Bible. Okay, I'm going to skip a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the story of Achan in Joshua 7, story of Achan. Joshua 7:14 through 18. Achan. All right. The background is the conquest of Canaan. Okay. It says the background is the conquest of Canaan. The Ever, in parentheses Hebrews, had just taken Jericho. Their next military target was Bethel. To make a long story short, To make a long story short, they was fighting and they lost. And God told Joshua that the reason they lost was because sin was in the camp. Okay? So then God gave instructions to Joshua. Now, it seemed like it would have been a problem because the Israelites at that time numbered about 2 million people. So now he was going to find one person out of 2 million people. 2 million people. And he needed them to find them. But this is where the structure of the family came in. Okay? This is where the structure of the family came in. We're going to skip over here. Says God issued instructions to Joshua on how to find the guilty party in Joshua 7:14. Says, in the morning you must present yourselves by tribes. Write these down. By tribes. All right. It says you must present yourselves. Let me see if I can get back in. By tribes. And the Lord will point out the tribe to which the guilty man belongs. That tribe must come forward with its clans. Okay? Okay. It says, get back in. That tribe must come forward with its clans, and the Lord will point out the guilty clan. That clan will then come forward, and the Lord will point out the guilty family. Okay? Right here. Finally, each member of the guilty family must come forward one by one. Person. Okay? Nation. So that's what God did. I mean, that's what Joshua did. I'm not going to read all of this; it's very time consuming. But basically, when you read that story, Joshua 7:14 through 18, that's what Joshua did, and he ended up finding out. Well, let's go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it. The affair was to be an orderly, organized, and methodical search of all the men of Israel. Nobody would be able to hide or conveniently not show up. Verse 16 through 18 depicts the identification of the guilty party. Early the next morning, Joshua had Israel come forward by tribes, and Judah was taken. Okay? All right. Okay, Judah was taken. It says the clans of Judah came forward, and he took the Zerahites. Okay. See where I'm at. All right. He had the clan of the Zerahites come forward by families, and Zimri was taken. Okay. Zimri was taken. Joshua had his family come forward, man by man, and Achan, the son of Kamri, the son of Zimri, the son of Zerah, the Zerahites, the clan, of the tribe of Judah was taken. Joshua 7:16 through 18. So that was Achan. So everybody, each person belonged to a family. Each family belonged to a clan. Persons together make a family. Families together made clans. Clans together made tribes. Tribes together made a nation. They were all family. Remember, Israel was the nation. Israel, children of Jacob. So, Israel was a nation. The tribes were Israel's sons. They were brothers. So they were family. So all the tribes were family. Okay, so it was Judah, which was one of the sons of Jacob or Israel. The children of Judah made clans. Okay, and the chief of this particular clan was Zerah. Clans broken up into families, what they call families. And the head of that family was Zimri. And I think they said that was Achan's grandfather. So this was how the family structure in the Bible went. Usually, now this is so important because here, normally what we consider family is usually like our grandparents, great-grandparents on down, and then we get separated after that. For this to go all the way up to here, that was 2.2 million people. Okay, this was like a few generations apart. I mean, this was a lot of people to be a nation going back to. So for them to find this one person, that was a structure that we are unfamiliar with. Now, why is that so important? What is the benefits of that? Let me go back here. Let me read this down here. Running out of time. Let me read this down here. This says, see if I can get a good halfway decent shot. This says, in addition, the account shows the Ever nation is one big family that worked together as one unit. This family was divided into tribes. The tribes, in turn, are made up of clans. This unique family structure started with Jacob, also known as Israel, and his 12 sons. Okay? All right. Each son was a progenitor of his tribe. The families in those tribes grew into many clans that became bigger clans. Now, these many clans, I want you to remember that. Many clans. That's in between many clans. That's in between the families and the clans. They grew into many clans. All right. Remember that now. Bigger clans. Therefore, the basic unit within the tribe was the clan. Each clan was comprised of extended families that shared a common and recognizable lineage. This is the father's household, and it consisted of all the family members of a single living male. Father's household. This was the father's household. We hear that term a lot in the Bible. God told Abraham to leave his father's house. All right. Head of household. These extended families typically included 3 or more generations and supported large members of people. Fathers ran each individual family within the family, and the head of each individual family represented the family in each clan. I ain't got room to write all that, but the head of each family represented the family in each clan. So each family was represented in the clan by the father of that family, by the head of that family, which was the father, the man. All right. In each clan. All right. However, only one man represented all the combined fathers' houses in tribal meetings. This man was usually the oldest male in that father's house. Father's house. All right. In that father's house. Thus, the head of that clan. Okay, so So it says, this man was usually the oldest male in that father's house, thus the head of that clan. This person is the head of family or chieftain. They call them chiefs in the Bible. All right. Notable family heads we read about in the Bible were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name God changed to Israel. All right, so that's the model of the family. Okay, that's the structure. Now we get to the benefits of all of that. Okay, benefits of family heads. The benefits of the family head are many. The following is a few examples. Family unity means strength. Having the family head makes this possible. They call for the family to come together more often, either to party or discuss issues affecting family members. Without the family head calling the clan together, there is no guarantee of annual family get-together. Okay, black youth acting like sheep without a shepherd. Having family heads that are in touch with each other in the community provide a platform for effective organizations in the black community. These organizations in turn provide a grapevine for information on what is happening in the black community to be circulated efficiently and accurately among black families. This saves us depending on media houses that are not necessarily sympathetic to black people. It says stop youth from joining gangs. That writer of this book, Mawuli, and the guy who wrote this book that I'm reading, and the guy who wrote this, he actually lives in Africa. Okay, he lives in Africa, and I was trying to find in there where he wrote. This is not a real thick book, but it's kind of a thick book, and I couldn't. But I read somewhere in this book where he actually says that the children, him and his wife, in their village, the children in that village, which are all family, they don't necessarily use the terms nephews and uncles and cousins and all of that stuff. They use the term brothers and sisters, mom and dad. He said all of their nephews and nieces all call him and his wife Ma and Pa. And they call each other brothers and sisters. And this sounds so much like the way they did in the Bible. Now this is another book that I just want to throw out here. This is a book. This is a book called The Wisdom of African Mythology. Okay, and that's just the name of the book by John J. Ollovier. But that's just the name of the book. There's a section in here called African Family Life. This is what I wanted to. There's just this one section that I wanted to read to you. This is a little easier to read, I think. It's called African Family Life. All right. It says, African tribal society was divided into clans. Clans were the major subdivision of the tribe. Some tribes had over 100 clans, and some clans had over 1,000 people. All that family, man, that's whew. The clan was further divided into gates. which would be what Mawuli called mini clans. But they would be gates. Okay? That's what John J. Oliver's research led him to. All right. Divided into gates. That's what I am right here. Which were made up of a number of similar families. When a gate reached a certain size, it became a clan. Members of a clan assisted each other in time of need, especially in time of war. Okay. The family, see if you can see this. Okay. The family included far more than just members of a household. A family included its ancestors, both living and dead. See, your family members don't stop becoming family members just because they pass away. This is one of the problems with us, is our families are too small. We think of ancestors as some, spooky African worshiping type of a system. But honestly, the African system was built on family. This society over here is built on money. But this is, okay, anyway, here we go. Both living and the dead. Both living and the dead. It included all the wives, children, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, and cousins. It was the sum of all those who had common ancestors. Families themselves were divided into households. Now, you're talking about African. While each household was further divided into the individual members. Compounds of related families formed a village. It says compounds of related families formed a village. The houses were round and faced the center of the compound. Okay, so it says compounds of related families. So the compound was an area that they lived in. We would call the area a village. When we think of a village, we think of an area. They're calling the area a compound. And they said a compound of related families formed a village. This is where we get the term, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, that's an African proverb. When they said village, they were talking about family. It was a village of family. See, we can't even relate to that. We don't think like that, a village of family people working together like that. We think of a village as in strangers, which is not. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. But the original way that it was supposed to be was a village is family. Okay, got to keep going. I don't have a whole lot more, but just a little bit more. Okay. African society focused on the family. The individual was but part of a whole. He did not and could not exist apart from the community. Nothing was more important than the family. It was through the family that one obtained offspring, and was through offspring that one obtained the gift of immortality and reached the blissful state of the living dead. This immortality was achieved only by continued remembrance in the minds of one's own descendants. As long as a person was remembered, he was preserved in a state of personal immortality. See it right there? He was preserved in a state of personal immortality. If parents had no children to remember them when they were physically dead, they would vanish from existence. This is some deep stuff. Since the family was such an important part of African life, marriage was the duty of all Africans. It was a requirement of society itself. Right there. So it says, since the family was such an important part of African life, marriage was the duty of all Africans. It was a requirement of society itself. Those who did not marry were considered a curse upon their community. The unmarried man was a rebel, a lawbreaker. He was looked upon as abnormal. Since the unmarried rejected society, society must also reject the unmarried. The choice of a mate, now listen to this, this is, the choice of a mate was important in African life. Various tribes had various customs for choosing mates. Oftentimes, the choice was made by the parents, sometimes even before birth. When the choice was made by the young people themselves, parents were closely consulted, and their advice was followed, for marriage was considered an integral part of the corporate community. Marriage was a religious duty. Go down here. Procreation or having children. Procreation or having children completed marriage. By birth, one captured immortality as parents were perpetuated in the offspring. Those who died without children became forever dead. But as long as a person was remembered by their heirs, he or she was in some way living. This concept of living dead explains many marriage customs in Africa and why the African social status was increased by the number of wives he had. And there's much more in there, but I just wanted to touch on that and kind of just stir people up to this. Like I said, this book is called The Wisdom of African Mythology, okay, by John J. Ollovier. The other two books that I read was Black People's Identity, which came with the book called The Call to the Hebrews. If you go on Amazon and type in The Call to the Hebrews, you're going to come up with this, and you'll be able to get this in digital form to read on your Kindle. But all of this is in line with the Bible, and I just kind of skirted over the top of it. There's no way that I could really give the whole thing justice. But the family is the solution, and that's something that I heard in that song called Family Reunion by the OJs. And that part where Eddie Levert said, and when he starts talking, he says, the family is the solution to the problems of the world today. That is so true. So God has a system here. He has a solution. He set it up. The first kingdom was a family. The family is God set up the family. His heart is to the family first. His heart is to the family first. So I just want to encourage you. We have a lot of problems. This is just a few. We have a lot of problems, but there are solutions, and the solutions, most of them are in the family. All right, there's the family head concept, and this is just good stuff. This was to the diaspora, which are the descendants of the biblical Israelites. But go into Google, type in Abraham was Ivri, and see what you come up with. Like I said, I don't have time to tie these two together in this video, but it is out there. I've made quite a few other videos. One called "We Must Start in the Beginning." There's a few other videos out there that I have that ties everything together. Why Learn Black History is another one. Black history is spiritual, not carnal. That's another one. That was the first one that I made. But anyway, I don't have time to get in all that on this one. This one is about family. All right, so I want to encourage you. There are solutions, and go back, understand what the family, the power of the family, and quite honestly, one thing that we can do is continue to have more family reunions. But that is God's will. God's will is for us to be connected. Knowledge is power. God said in His Word, He says, because you have rejected knowledge, I will reject you and your children. That's what He said. So be encouraged, my people. All right? God bless you. Peace.